Hi, today I'd like to talk about some concerns that I have with the Heart Foundation of Australia with regards to what they promote on their website and on Facebook and in their videos about healthy eating. And I will also like to educate about what we can do to prevent and reverse heart disease. So last week, the Heart Foundation sent me a package to collect donations for them. So I'm meant to collect donations from people in my street, and it's for the Big Heart Appeal. And they originally rang my house to talk to my mum, but I was the only one home. So they asked if I was over 16 and I said yes. And they asked if I would be able to collect donations for them for the month of September. And I had a feeling that I wasn't going to be supporting what they're doing, but the lady was so nice on the phone, and I actually didn't remember what the Heart Foundation was, so I said okay. And then after that I looked up their website to see what they're about. And I saw on their website that their aim is to save lives and improve health through funding world-class cardiovascular research, guidelines for health professionals, informing the public, and assisting people with cardiovascular disease. As a charity, the Heart Foundation relies on donations and gifts to continue its life-saving research and health education work. And I also found some facts on their website about heart disease. And one of the facts is that heart disease is one of the biggest burdens on our Australian economy. And in Australia, cardiovascular disease kills 1 Australian every 12 minutes. And it affects 1 in 6 Australians, or 3.7 million. So the Heart Foundation agrees that heart disease is largely preventable. And they also note that the lower socio-economic groups, like the Aboriginal people and those living in remote areas, have the highest rate of hospitalisation and death resulting from cardiovascular disease in Australia. And I looked on their website for the information that they provide. And I looked up the tab Healthy Eating, and I went to see what they recommend for people who want to have heart-healthy lives. And I was disappointed because they don't promote a vegan diet. And I don't say that because I'm vegan, but because of what I've read and the studies that have shown that a low-fat, plant-based diet of whole foods will prevent and reverse heart disease. And this is shown through Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. If you go to his website, he provides on that website 2 new studies that he's done. A whole foods plant-based diet, low in fat, so no animal products, no meat, dairy or eggs, and no vegetable oils, and just keeping the fat content in other foods low, will reverse heart disease. And it might take time, but it can be done. Now, I don't recommend doing what the Heart Foundation says on their website. On their website, regarding dairy, they say to eat 2 to 3 servings of dairy every day. And they recommend it especially for children. And the main reason that they say this is because it contains calcium. I'm not sure why they would say eat meat and dairy and fish and take fish oil. It doesn't make sense to me. There's omega-3s in fish oil, but there are also other oils in fish that are not healthy for the heart. And Dr. Michael Greger of nutritionfacts.org has already shown in studies that fish oil doesn't have any benefits for the heart.
Are purported benefits of fish oil supplementation for the prevention and treatment of heart disease just a fishtail? Thanks to recommendations like this from the American Heart Association, that individuals at high risk for heart disease ask their physicians about fish oil supplementation, it's grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry. We now consume over 100,000 tons of fish oil every year. But what does the latest science say? A systematic review and meta-analysis published in the Journal of the American Medical Association looked at all the best randomized clinical trials evaluating the effects of omega-3s on lifespan, cardiac death, sudden death, heart attack, and stroke. Either advice to eat more oily fish, or to take fish oil capsules. What did they find? Overall, they found no protective benefit for overall mortality, heart disease mortality, sudden cardiac death, heart attack, or stroke.
Also, if you look at the Heart Foundation website, you'll see that there's a free ebook, and this ebook is full of recipes, and the cookbook has a table of contents. There's meals like blackfish curry, Australian salmon fish cakes, kangaroo spaghetti, sweet chili crab, curried prawns. And I had a look at the pictures as well, and they look basically like paleo recipes, like low carb, high fat recipes. And this is a website that's meant to help people with heart disease. Why are they putting a picture of lobster with cheese on it in a cookbook that's meant to help people with heart disease? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. I mean, if they were Epic Mealtime or something, that would make sense. But this is a foundation that's meant to help people with heart disease. I just want to let everyone know that there is a plant-based alternative that's low fat, it's doable, it does take discipline and it does take a major lifestyle change, but it's the truth. This is what people have to do to prevent and reverse heart disease. And you can't just tell people what they want to hear. You can't just tell people replace butter with margarine, or look for the Heart Foundation tick on a piece of packaged food, and if it's got the Heart Foundation tick, then it must be okay. The good thing about the Heart Foundation is that they are raising awareness about heart disease, and they are promoting active living and exercise, and they promote a sense of community through their cook-offs. Unfortunately, in the cook-offs, they're eating mainly paleo-looking recipes that are probably giving people heart disease. One of the studies that is on Dr. Esselstyn's website is his 2014 study. It was actually a study done over more than 3 years, but it was just published in June 2014. A way to reverse coronary artery disease. Though current medical and surgical treatments manage coronary artery disease, they do little to prevent or stop it. Nutritional intervention, as shown in our study and others, has halted and even reversed coronary artery disease. The purpose of our follow-up study was to define the degree of adherence and outcomes of 198 consecutive patient volunteers who received counseling to convert from a usual diet to plant-based nutrition. These patients with established cardiovascular disease were interested in transitioning to plant-based nutrition as an adjunct to usual cardiovascular care. We considered participants adherent if they eliminated dairy, fish, and meat and added oil. Of the 198 patients with cardiovascular disease, 177 were adherent. Major cardiac events judged to be recurrent disease totaled 1 stroke in the adherent cardiovascular participants, a recurrent rate of 0.6%. 13 of 21, 62% of non-adherent participants experienced adverse events. In conclusion, most of the volunteer patients with cardiovascular disease responded to intensive counseling, and those who sustained plant-based nutrition for a mean of 3.7 years experienced a low rate of subsequent cardiac events. This dietary approach to treatment deserves a wider test to see if adherence can be sustained in broader populations. Plant-based nutrition has the potential for a large effect on the cardiovascular disease epidemic. So this is a significant finding. I think the Heart Foundation needs to pay attention to it and start promoting it and start pointing out this research to everyone on Facebook. I think on Facebook they have about 25,000 likes, so they do have an audience to promote this information to, and I hope that they do. If you have a chance, I recommend going over to their website, maybe write a comment and say, hey, have a look at Dr. Esselstyn's study. Maybe you should start promoting a vegan diet. It might sound radical, but there's proof that a whole foods plant-based diet, low in fat, high in carbs, whether that be fruit or starchy vegetables or whole grains or legumes, that will reverse heart disease eventually. So I hope you enjoyed this video. and I will see you in my next one. Bye.